This call is now being recorded.
Welcome to Kidmissing Radio. Excuse me. I am your host, Angelina Wilson. Joining me is missing persons advocate Bob Odie. We're going to talk about the case. We're going to talk about the case of Macin Smith. He is missing from St. George, Utah. He went missing. He was 17 years old on September 1st, 2015. What I can tell you about him is he was a big gamer and an anime fan, which kind of got him in trouble staying on the computer a little too long. And he was 6 feet 4 inches tall and weighed 200 pounds. He was a big boy. Bob, how did you learn about this case and how did you get involved with it? What motivated you?
Well, first, thanks for having me on the show. Yeah, I got into the case by watching a show on the ID channel, which is called Investigation Discovery, The Silent Sun. The show is called Disappeared, Season 8, Episode number 2. And as soon as I saw it, I got really interested in it. And then they talked about a Facebook page, or a Facebook group, rather, that had like 52,000 followers. And I thought, wow, that's interesting. I want to go there and find out a little bit more information. And then, I went on and I joined the group. And shortly after that, I realized, wow, they're not posting anything about Macin anymore. They're posting stuff about just, generic missing person cases. And that kind of bothered me. I kind of wanted to get it back on track a little bit about Macin. And yeah.
Cool. I sometimes get sucked in that way too. And I did watch that episode and I highly recommend it. To me it left a lot of questions though. And
Same here.
Then I started reading articles. And police initially called him a runaway, but at this point, for some reason, they're focusing on the family. Do you have any insight into why that would be?
Yes. There's so many inconsistencies on the timeline that immediately it raised suspicions. Just today I was kind of thinking about something, and the reason is I have a son that's graduating from high school on Tuesday.
Oh, congratulations to him.
Yeah, thank you so much. And one of the things I found interesting was in the case, the day after Macin went missing, his mother went to the school to see if he had showed up, and he didn't show up, and she paid for his cap and gown because it was his senior year. Now that was in September 2nd. She was paying for his cap and gown.
Yeah.
I asked my wife today, when did we pay for our son's cap and gown? That's very interesting. It was last week, and this is May. So little things like that raise suspicion too. I wonder how many parents had paid for their kids' cap and gown on September 2nd.
Yeah, I found that odd anyway because I don't, obviously where you are they do it, but for me when I graduated in 93, we didn't pay for it. We just had to make sure we gave it back, everything but the tassel. In fact, they wouldn't even give us our paper diploma until we gave it back. They held it hostage until we gave it back.
Well, there you go. But you do have to give it back, but there's still usually a fee involved. At least there is at my son's school. There's still a fee that you pay.
Right, my mother said there was when she graduated too.
Yeah, we didn't pay for it back. Yeah, we didn't pay for it in September, and I'm wondering what kind of school administrator would ask a mother that shows up asking about her missing child. What school administrator would have said, hey, while you're here looking for your missing child, can you pay for his cap and gown? I don't believe anyone would. So
No,
he may
I
have.
don't believe so either. But the way that I understood what she said was that she went there to buy his cap and gown.
The day after he went missing. That's strange. That's really strange. I don't know.
It is strange. But that's how I heard it. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
But like I said, we didn't even get measured for our caps because they had to measure our heads. Measured for our caps until about the week before the seniors got out of school, because of course we get out of school before the other kids.
Right.
It was about a week before we get out of school that we got measured for our caps. So yeah.
Right. So that is strange. You know, I think there's little questions like this. The father's timeline about going into his room and getting and retrieving a laptop power cord. It doesn't add up because the mother said that the door was locked to the bedroom when she got home. Now, if the father went in after Macin left for school, but before the mother came home, the door must have been locked, right? So, you know, and then later on in the afternoon, he called the mother saying that Macin hadn't come back from school. Wouldn't he have checked the bedroom? I would have checked the bedroom before I called the mother and said, "Hey, you know, kid's not home for school."
Exactly. But what I don't get is they said that he had taken the computer and the phone the night before because he was either on his anime or his gaming too late again.
Right.
So I thought that was the night before, just before, well, they were in bed and they woke up.
Yeah, that's what they say. The story is,
and she claims that she didn't unplug the modem and hide the cord like she usually did. You just happened to not do that that night. You happened to remember that you just unplugged it that night and didn't hide the cord. Why would you remember something so
trivial?
Unimportant?
Yeah, I agree.
Trivial. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you. On the night before your kid goes missing, you'd be bouncing off the wall. You wouldn't remember little things like that.
And not to mention, remember, they said he went to bed early because he had a headache. She came in and checked on him, but nobody asked the next day how he was feeling. They just let him go off to school without seeing him. The father knocked on the door and said, "Macin, are you up?" But he didn't say, "Macin, are you up and how are you feeling?" I don't know. There's just on and on questions. I just don't.
Yeah.
I just don't buy it.
Right, and they laid in bed and listened to him get ready for school and walk out the door.
Yeah,
they didn't go downstairs and say good morning. Would you like breakfast? How's your head? You know, they just laid in bed.
Exactly. Yeah,
I don't get it.
And the dad goes to the gym the next morning at the same time that Macin's supposed to be at his bus stop, but he doesn't see him at the bus stop. He didn't say anything about driving by the bus stop to check on him. I don't know, there's just so many things I could just poke holes through one after another, and I put together a timeline on the website, MacinSmith.com, which I built.
Yes, I read it. I read your timeline.
Oh, thank you for checking that. And if anyone finds any errors or sees where I may have made a mistake, let me know. But
I will link your website in the description of the show.
Yeah,
and
that's
keep in
great.
mind either tomorrow or most likely the next day because it's kind of late in the day.
Sure.
Headliner will make a video and send it to me of this podcast. And I will put it up on my YouTube channel. I'll send you a link to that as well. But I will make sure that your link to your website is in the description of both.
Wonderful. I appreciate that very much.
You can find it.
Yes. Now, last week, I was perusing through articles, and I found an article from May 16th, 2019 in Deseret News, where the spokeswoman of St. George Police Department, Tiffany Atkin, says that no one is actively pursuing anything in regards to this case. So I consider it a cold case. I've been told it's not, but I've tried to
that's weird.
To alert them about a sighting, a possible sighting that one of my readers told me about, and they didn't even respond. So as far as I'm concerned, it's a cold case.
Where was that sighting?
Yeah. I believe it was New Mexico. Yeah, at it was at like an AM/PM mini mart. Somebody thought that they saw him. Of course, they went back and played. And of course, whenever there's a sighting, unfortunately, nobody takes a picture. I mean, come on, everybody's got a camera these days. If you see somebody you think is a missing person, please take some photos. But you know, it's one of those things because
That's a good point.
We've got a
good point.
Yeah, we've got to go back and look at every one of these sightings. We've got to hash it out and find out. But sure, if you see somebody you think might be a missing person or could be a missing person,
try to share a picture so we get a picture so the person doesn't get ticked off at you. But
absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm taking my phone with me when I go to a dinner with my classmates that I haven't seen in yikes almost 40 years. Since 6th grade, so yeah, darn close.
Awesome.
I'm taking my phone. I will take pictures. If I can take pictures there, why not?
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. I went to my 8th grade class reunion was it last summer? No, it was the summer before. And wow, what a great time that was. It was amazing seeing all those people.
Yeah.
At my
one
school,
of the boys set up a dinner at the local golf course. He reserved a table on the deck, so should be nice.
Yeah, that sounds great.
One other thing that confused me in this case, and believe me, folks, there's a lot to confuse you, as you've already heard a little bit. He left his wallet with his money in it. Now, if you're going to run away, you're probably not going to do that. A, but B, what teenage boy would go to school without his wallet, and what teenage girl would go to school without her pocketbook? That didn't make any sense to me. And then they said there was this weird note stuffed in it. Why would you look in his wallet?
Well, they looked into his wallet after he was reported missing. So I think that was good. That why the parents went in the wallet and not the police. I wish the police had treated this more seriously from the second that it was reported. But the mother claimed she went into the wallet and found it hidden in the back of a drawer in the dresser. And when she opened it, she saw cash in there and his school ID. And then I guess she, left it there and then came back 6 days later to look again, which just throws a bunch of red flags to me. 6 days later, 6 days later, she finds a 3-page handwritten note folded up inside the wallet. Now, I put together sort of a demonstration video that I have put up on YouTube that shows it's pretty hard to hide a 3-page handwritten note. You fold it up and you put it in a wallet.
Inside of a man's wallet. Actually, I thought it was 4 pages, but it's a man's wallet. You made an excellent point there that I hadn't thought about. What is the YouTube channel?
Well, it's Macin Smith case, but I don't have the actual, it's not like, look it up, just Macin Smith case. It'll come up.
Okay.
But,
I will make sure I link that as well.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I do want to watch that video.
Oh yeah, I've made 3 videos now, because there are just so many things that don't add up in this case. And what I'm recommending or what I'm demanding is a federal investigation. I feel that the local police department, I support police, don't get me wrong, but the St. George Police Department flubbed this from day one. They really did. And if you don't believe me, go onto the Facebook page, Macin Smith case on Facebook, and yes, I made that. And if you go on there and you look up I posted the actual juvenile missing report, and you can look at it yourself. I've never seen so many spelling errors on people's names in my life, and just in one police report. It's ridiculous. So I think they were just.
I will definitely look at that.
Yeah, they're just
and
different
I will
problems.
link those.
It was
link
different.
that page as well.
I appreciate that.
I just wrote it down so I wouldn't forget it.
Excellent. Yeah, it was difficult to get those. I had to request those, and it took quite a while to get them. But as soon as I got them, I posted them because people need to see this information is out there. There's even I take issue with certain things that were on the ID channel show disappeared. Even I mean you may not know this, but the father didn't participate in that. Only the mother did.
Yes, I
didn't.
saw that. I thought that was strange.
The father didn't. Yeah, the father didn't participate, and it seemed to me that Sergeant Jolie Entz of the St. George Police Department, who I guess is the main investigator, or was, is overly sympathetic to the family. It's so obvious. That kind of thing would never happen if they were in like Los Angeles, California, where I'm at. The police department don't befriend the people, involved in a case.
Yeah. But here in small towns, I get that, because here in small towns, I mean, the police are part of the fabric of the town,
Yeah,
when you're in a town size. I'm in a town of literally just over 8,000 people. I mean,
so you all know each other, huh?
Area. Exactly. One of the girls that I'm going to dinner with is the wife of a policeman.
Okay, well maybe I'm wrong on that.
So,
I could be wrong on that point, but I just to me I feel that she seems overly sympathetic to the family and to the parents, when I think that they should have been the suspects right from the get-go.
Well, yes, do a dual investigation. That's what they tell you to do.
Yeah.
Investigate both ways. I know when he was 15 in Canada, he supposedly ran away with resumes in his backpack. What 15-year-old even has a resume? And I know a few that wouldn't know what the word meant.
Yeah, it's a strange story, that is. And that's if you believe it too. Some of these things, I would probably, I take everything with a grain of salt when it comes to what the family's saying. I just don't, I don't know. Okay, you're 15.
Yeah.
And if you run away in Canada in the dead of winter, which they said he did, and they said he turned right around and came back in 45 minutes because of the extreme cold, he would have died out there, But why, and they said that the reason that he ran away was because they took away his Xbox. So here they are, 2 years later, taking away his laptop and his phone. I wouldn't do that if I had a kid that I thought was potentially suicidal, that had tried to kill himself in the past, that supposedly was clinically depressed. Yeah, I don't know. There's just certain things about this case.
And I certainly wouldn't take his phone, because he's going to take it with him. If he'd have had it with him, there's a chance that
absolutely.
it could be
Wouldn't you give it?
And they would have a search area.
Right. Wouldn't you give it back to him in the morning so he could take it to school with him?
I would at least. I wasn't going to be up, or if I was going to be out to work before he got up, I would leave it on the counter for him with a note.
That's what I would do. So these are the kind of things that make you speculate whether what you're being told is true. And there were plenty of questions written in the police affidavits, and there were many search warrants done. And they even put a GPS monitoring device on the father's truck at one point. But I think that was months. Yeah, that was months after Macin went missing. So I think they really, again, I think they came to the same conclusion that everybody else is coming to, or come to, but way late in the investigation. And it's just a shame. Yeah.
Yeah. We just have to be careful what we say. I mean, we're not saying anything the police didn't say, and we're not outright saying this person did it. We're just stating the facts.
absolutely. It's all
And I do. Oh, I'm
reported
sorry.
in newspapers. These things are things that have been reported. They've been alleged. They've been speculated about, and it's all there in articles in the news if you want to read up on it. And I've put links to all of these different articles that have been written. Deseret News, the Deseret News is one of them. There's several other newspapers in the area, local papers that have written about this. The other thing that really bothered me, and it just gets to me, they put a memorial bench that they dedicated to Macin at the
memorial
park. What? A memorial bench. Yeah. So it's like, but they put his birth date and they put the day that he went missing on there. Now, it looks like a birth date and a death date to me, like you put on a headstone.
Yeah.
As a parent, I would never have allowed that myself. I would be out looking for my kid every day, and they also allegedly or reportedly, it's been reported that they attended, someone told me that they had attended one of Mason's siblings' wedding just 10 days after Macin went missing. But
yes, it said that on the disappeared. It said that on the disappeared.
But they were, the community volunteers were out searching for Macin at that time.
Yeah.
So,
I just wanted to say something that struck me when you were talking about the contents of the wallet. You said his school ID. I know every school is different, but the first high school that I went to, because I went to two, we couldn't even get into the library without our school ID. So that would have to, if you see the school, that would have to shock you. That would have to scare you.
Oh, sure, yeah,
I don't
absolutely.
know, like I said, with his school, but with our school, couldn't even get in the library. We had to show it.
Right. I don't think he ever went to school that day. I think he just, yeah. So, all of the things, so many of the things would shock me as a parent, but I can tell you, and of course they had 6 kids, so, maybe it's a little different. I've got, one of my own and 4 stepkids, but if any of my kids went missing, you couldn't stop me from looking. I would be, you know what I mean? I would be out looking.
I know how my parents would be. I'm not a parent, but I know how my parents would be.
Yeah, I'd be a wreck, I would be a wreck. I would be out searching and searching and searching and searching, and I wouldn't stop. So I just, this idea that you search for a little while and then you stop and then you kind of call it off and tell everybody to kind of wrap it up, and you change the Facebook group into sort of a generic missing person page, and all that just doesn't sit well with me.
And also about the police department being sort of friendly toward the parents, I thought she just plain phoned it in during that interview, but that's my opinion. But also, I think sometimes, Oh,
you think the mother did, or you think the police officer?
No, the lady police officer.
Oh, okay.
The lady police officer. But I also think that sometimes having a community like we have, where the police know the people, the police will probably act more quickly in some cases. Like if I disappeared, I know a lot of these cops have, one of them I knew his parents both before they died, and he wouldn't hesitate. He knew that I was sick when his mother was sick, So I think sometimes it's a good thing to have a smaller community where the police know you, because then they know if this person disappeared, there's something seriously wrong. Because
Yeah,
it's out of character, and this person is sick, you know.
Right.
And
Right. I think that makes sense.
So that might be a good thing in one way, but I thought she was just kind of phoning it in. I don't know how else to put it. It was just my opinion of her affect.
Sure. Okay.
You know?
Well,
everybody has the right to their own opinion. That's just mine.
Absolutely. I understand that. And like I said, I want people to look at what I have to say and tell me if I'm right or wrong. If you totally disagree with me, let me know. If there's something I put on the website as far as the timeline that's incorrect, point it out to me. I've gone through it and I've read a lot of articles and put as much information there as I can so that hopefully investigators can use that same thing as a tool. I've put questions there that I have that I'd like answered.
Exactly.
I just think that investigators really need to look at this case further. There's more to it, and like it says on one of the police affidavits or search warrants, whichever, they believe that the parents know more than they're saying.
Oh my goodness, I have the hiccups. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
But yeah, no, I did read that, and I have to tell you, I thought your site was very well done. It's where I did most of my research. So,
excellent.
Evidently, someone saw a boy that looked like him in Vegas.
Yeah, that was short. Okay, so well, I posted a picture of Mace that I thought was Macin at an anime convention that took place about a week after he went missing. So some family members looked at it and said, "No, that's not him. It's he's got a different face." And so, well, who knows? But there was a guy also. There was somebody hitchhiking in St. George shortly after Macin went missing that looked like Macin. So he apparently had a sign that said Las Vegas. So a bunch of people, so the father and I believe it's his brother went to Las Vegas searching for Macin. And of course they didn't find him, but they didn't attend that anime convention either. So
yeah, but they did determine that was not him holding the sign. I guess they found the person that was holding the sign. Yeah,
and they saw video, and they found out that was not Macin holding the sign. But still, there were people out in addition to them in Las Vegas searching as well. Members of the Red Rock Search and Rescue team were out there as well. So there were a lot of people looking for Macin, but I'm not aware that any of them attended that anime convention, which would have been nice.
And we should also mention that Macin had a slight speech problem.
Yeah, that's right. He had sort of a slight lisp.
Yeah, 2 girls met a boy with a speech issue who needed bus fare, and they gave him their change.
Correct.
And when their mother showed them, I guess they were sisters, their mother showed them some article or something online about Macin, they went, because they thought it was him. Right.
And now there was also a sighting the day that Macin went missing, late in the afternoon, around 3:15. There was a neighbor that said that she thought she had seen him, and that's interesting. But what do you make of it? 3:15, September 1st. The neighbor's name is Sandy Lyman, or Lehman, Lyman, and she saw Macin walking past her house and away from his home. So maybe in the afternoon he was still in the neighborhood. That's possible. I don't know. Sometimes with these eyewitness sightings, it's hard to say if it was the same day or not. But again, man, I wish that I wish somebody had a photo or a video. You know, video surveillance is a lot more prevalent now than it was 6 years ago. Now a lot of people have Ring doorbells and things like that.
Yes.
Yeah, I have them on my home. So, you know, but in 2015, it was less prevalent.
That's true.
Yeah.
Mason's 18th birthday came and went. Now, interestingly, I read that his mother says she thinks he's alive and his dad thinks he's looking for a body. Police, when they put the GPS tracker on his truck, they left it there for a whopping 60 days. That is a long time.
Yeah, that's a long time. But, you know, they say, or I think it's in the affidavit that, you know, that sometimes, you know, criminals return to the scene of the crime and maybe they'd lead to a body or something, I think is what they were hoping to find. And, who knows? I guess they didn't find anything.
Mm. Yeah, that's true. I also found it odd, like on the disappeared, I don't know if you noticed, but when the mother was crying or trying to cry, there were no tears.
That's true. You know, there's a lot of,
kind of left me going, huh?
She's very raw, very emotional, in almost all of the interviews, but, from some people that are very close to her, I've heard that, they claim that she's very self-motivated. She can't take the slightest bit of criticism, and she's really hung up on herself. So
everybody's different in how they handle this type of thing. You know, there's not a playbook.
Everybody's different, and who knows how you're going to react in this type of situation. It must be very traumatic losing your own kid or whatever. But yeah, it raises more suspicions. That's what I would say. And that's why I'm just calling for calling for a federal investigation. They need to look into this. It's obvious that there's more to the story.
Mm-hmm.
You know, obviously if he suddenly pops out and you know, somebody finds him and, oh yeah, I was hiding out for 6 years, you know, okay, then, you know, I guess I'll have to apologize to everybody, but you know what, until then,
we haven't blamed anybody. We've simply stated the facts and our opinions.
Our opinions
that we've seen.
And my concerns really, and I want to see this case solved, and one way or another, I want justice for Macin. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, they did show a clip of his father on Disappeared from I think it was a local TV thing.
Sure.
And they asked him about people saying that he took his son's life, and the way he was talking, and it seemed to me he was almost smiling, and it was like, okay, I realize there's no, you know, book on how to behave, but wouldn't you be angry if people were saying that you killed your kid?
You know what? I wasn't so sure about that. I'm not so sure that I thought he acted strange in that way, but he does sort of seem like he's beside himself. That's the one thing that. So he's got this sort of guilty look on him, you know. I don't know what to tell you. He looks sort of beside himself. So, and now
could be just his way, you know.
Yeah,
some people smile when they're nervous, you know.
That's right, and it has been explained to me by somebody that knows the family that they think he's a great guy, they think he's a great dad, and he's a little socially awkward is what they describe him as. And that could be. I mean, you know, some of these things like Macin, Macin has been described as intrinsically shy. Maybe he got that from his dad. I don't know. He also said that Macin may have been bullied in school. that's possible as well. You know, the I don't know. You know what? Moving. You know, who knows? Everybody has their different reasons for doing things, but moving a kid
If you were, yeah.
right before the senior year, moving from
Yeah.
Canada to the U.S. That was pretty. That's got to be pretty tough right there. A kid that's got straight A's, you're not letting him. You know, he's got to ask for permission to watch anime. All these things.
I thought that was odd too. It wasn't like he had bad grades or skipped a lot of school or was
Right.
hanging out with a bad crowd or doing drugs or anything. He was watching anime and playing some video games, but still maintaining straight A's.
Yeah.
What's
yeah.
the problem?
And they're still telling him, maybe after you go for, go take a driving lesson with your dad, which that was strange too, that they said that the mother explains that it was almost funny or almost comical, I believe she said, how much Macin tried to avoid hanging out with his dad. That was strange. That's really, that's,
yeah. And Dad wasn't home for the longest time. It was just her and him because he was the youngest one left home.
Right.
And once Dad came home, it seemed like things kind of fell apart for some reason. I think it upsets the apple cart when you're so used to something and it changes. I think it upsets the apple cart sometimes.
I think that was sort of the point of that show, was that maybe his dad coming back into.
This call is now being recorded.
Oh, that's on. Okay, good.
Splice both pieces together. Sorry.
Yeah.
It'll be all right.
Well, I would urge everybody out there, anybody who's interested or even slightly in this case, to watch Investigation Discovery's Disappeared, the Silent Son.
Absolutely.
Season 8, episode 2. And it's the story of Macin Smith, going missing.
Okay. Oh, he was also a Mormon and was supposed to go to a Mormon youth group.
Right.
That afternoon.
Yeah, now, it's interesting. The mother is Mormon, but the father is not. And
father's agnostic. That is weird. They usually stay with their own.
Yeah, I would be I'm kind of surprised. I was kind of surprised by that. I don't know what it means as far as this case is concerned, but there, people have speculated all kinds of different things about this case. There's so many different viewpoints. If you read the comments on a lot of these articles that are out there, you'll really get kind of blown away by some of the different theories that are out there. There's so many. I put together a video that showed 6 different theories, and
yes, I read your list of theories.
Yeah, there were 6, and those. By the way, those were not my theories. Those were ones that I lifted from different comments that people made, and in comments on some of these articles, and people going back and forth one way or another. There's sort of a whole group of people that support the family, obviously, support the parents, and then there's a lot of people that speculate otherwise. So you've got this dichotomy out there of ideas, and somebody's right.
And that's how things get done. When you're looking at it from all perspectives, that's how things get done. But if you have any information, please call the St. George Police Department at 1-435-627-4300. 1-435-627-4300, or NCMEC, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, at 1-800-THE-LOST. 1-800-THE-LOST.
And thank you so much for your show. This is amazing. It's amazing. I love that you've put together this show. It's wonderful. It's so needed right now.
Well, thank you for joining me. Thank everybody who's going to listen. Is there anything you wanted to say to Macin, to anybody that may have heard him? or
Oh God.
taken him if
I
he
mean,
was trafficked, whatever, before we
Macin,
got.
I would say, Macin, if you're out there, if you can hear this, if you're listening to this, please reach out to the police. You're not in trouble. We just want to know that you're okay, and there's resources available to help you. And then to anybody that might be responsible for Macin's disappearance, we're coming after you. We're gonna solve this case. This is a very solvable case, and I beg for a federal investigation into this case because we can find out what happened.
Yes. And I found it interesting, one last thing, that he apparently deleted his browser history up until 12:30 a.m. Why up until 12:30 a.m.?
Yeah, I don't know. A lot of this stuff doesn't add up. And again, these are all questions that a investigator must consider. I wrote 32 questions. I have a lot more now. I think since I've written that article, but I wrote 32 questions I thought investigators must consider. And in fact, one of them just that jumped right out to me is they called one of the last big search for Macin. They called the search the final search. And I'll tell you right now, I would, as a parent, I would never let them. I would throw in a fit if somebody tried to call one of the searches the final search.
Yeah.
I mean,
I can picture my mother.
Let's not
head popping
ever.
off, steam, like a cartoon.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's not ever stop searching for Macin Smith.
Or any other missing child.
Absolutely.
And I do think you're right. I think there needs to be a federal investigation because St. George, Utah is not exactly a hub of technology. They should be sending his phone and his laptop to Quantico.
Absolutely.
To recover more information if they can.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the
to be
parents...
looking at messages and things.
Yeah, and the parents sold the house, which that's also kind of upsetting. The parents sold the house, and so there was probably all kinds of evidence that could have probably been lifted from the house, but of course
that
you get
stinks.
yeah.
Well, I am going to say good night to everyone, and I'm going to thank you so much for being on.
It's my pleasure.
I appreciate that. I want to say good night. God bless everyone. Remember to get that shot as soon as you can. And every missing kid or adult is someone's kid missing. Goodbye and God bless. Goodbye, Bob.
Goodbye.